What if I told you that in the 16th century people danced themselves to death? Yes, you heard right, danced to death. In the heart of Europe, in the bustling city of Strasbourg, France, a peculiar event unfolded in the summer of 1518. An event so bizarre it would etch its mark into the annals of history. This was the dancing plague, a strange affliction that compelled people to dance uncontrollably, often until their bodies gave out. The first to fall victim to this bizarre phenomenon was a woman known as Frau Trophäa. One day, without any apparent reason, she found herself consumed by an irresistible urge to dance. And dance she did with an intensity and fervor that was both fascinating and terrifying. Her feet moved to a rhythm that only she could hear, her body swaying and twirling in a dance of her own making. Indeed, Frau Trophäa danced relentlessly, setting in motion a bizarre event that would confound the world. As if under a bewitching spell, more and more people began to join in this frenzied dance. As the sun rose and set, the rhythm of the dance echoed throughout the cobblestone streets. The plague, like wildfire, started to spread across the town, consuming everyone in its path. The melody of the dance became the town's heartbeat, an eerie lullaby that put no one to sleep. Men, women, children, the young, the old, the strong, the frail. No one was immune. They danced in the squares, in the alleyways, on the rooftops, in the fields. Their movements were not of joy or celebration, but of compulsion and fear. It wasn't a dance of life, but a macabre dance of death, danced by the living. The physical toll was unimaginable. The dancers, driven by an unseen force, could not stop, not even to eat or sleep. Their bodies twisted and turned, jerked and swayed, hour after hour, day after day. Their faces, once full of life, now bore the mask of fatigue and despair. Their eyes, hollow and haunted, told stories of a mysterious torment. As the days turned into weeks, their bodies began to betray them. Feet blistered and bled, bodies collapsed from exhaustion. Hearts gave out from the strain. The once lively town square now resembled a battlefield, with bodies strewn across the cobblestones. Yet even as they fell, even as they breathed their last, their bodies kept moving to the rhythm of the dance. The dance was relentless, unforgiving. It spared no one, respected no boundaries. It turned neighbor against neighbor, friend against friend, family against family. It was a plague that didn't kill with a sword or a bullet, but with a dance. Day after day, the dancers continued their strange and relentless jig with no end in sight. The town was held captive by the rhythm, the beat, the dance. It was a surreal spectacle, a haunting melody, a chilling dance of death, the dance of the plague. And the mystery of it all was no one knew why it started, or when, if ever, it would end. The authorities, bewildered and desperate, sought to remedy the situation in the most peculiar ways. In a rather bizarre twist of events, local officials, believing the dance to be a natural disease that needed to be sweated out, brought in musicians to play music for the afflicted. Yes, you heard it right. The city was filled with the strains of lutes, harps and drums, as the authorities sought to provide a rhythm to the madness. The officials believed that by providing a platform for this inexplicable dancing, they could control it, contain it, perhaps even cure it. So, in a desperate attempt to end the madness, a stage was built. It was a spectacle like no other. The city square transformed into a bizarre theater, with the afflicted taking center stage, their bodies writhing and twisting in a dance of despair. Musicians played on day and night, their fingers raw, their instruments strumming the eerie soundtrack to this real-life drama. The hope was that the dancers would eventually tire and the dancing plague would end. But alas, the plan backfired spectacularly. The music seemed to invigorate the dancers, providing a rhythm, a beat to their madness. It was as if the music was fueling their fevered moves, adding flame to the fire. Imagine the scene, if you can. The city square filled with the sound of music, the air filled with the dust kicked up by the frenzied dancers, the desperation palpable. A city held hostage by an affliction it did not understand, using the only tools it had at its disposal, music and a stage. But the music did not bring the cure they so desperately sought. Instead, it served only to fan the flames of the dancing epidemic. The dancers continued their frenzied jig, their faces etched with exhaustion and despair. The stage, meant to be a solution, became a platform for an ever-growing spectacle. Yet the music only served to fuel the dancers' fevered moves, and the plague continued. How could such a thing happen? What could possibly cause people to dance themselves to death? As strange as this event seems, various theories have been proposed over the centuries to explain the dancing plague of 1518. One of the earliest theories suggests ergot poisoning as a possible cause. Ergot is a fungus that grows on rye and other grains. When ingested, it can cause hallucinations, spasms, and a host of other symptoms that could be interpreted as a need to dance. It's a compelling idea, one that's been applied to explain other historical mysteries. However, it falls short in this case. Ergot poisoning typically leads to gangrene due to its constrictive effect on blood vessels, a symptom notably absent from the accounts of the dancing plague. Another theory is mass hysteria, a phenomenon where a group of people exhibit similar physical symptoms due to psychological stress or fear. It's conceivable that the citizens of Strasbourg were under immense stress, perhaps due to famine, disease, or political turmoil. This collective anxiety could have manifested as an uncontrollable urge to dance. Still, this theory struggles to account for the physical endurance displayed by the dancers. Could psychological stress really drive people to dance for days on end? Then there's the idea of religious fervor. Some suggest that the dancers were members of a heretical sect, performing a penance of continuous dance. This theory aligns with the religious intensity of the time, but it's thin on evidence. There are no historical records of such a sect in Strasbourg, and the dancers didn't seem to exhibit any other signs of religious fanaticism, and so we are left with more questions than answers. Each theory offers a piece of the puzzle, but none provide a complete picture. Yet none of these theories can fully explain the bizarre and disturbing events that unfolded in Strasbourg in the summer of 1518. Finally, after a month of continuous dancing, the plague began to subside. The streets that were once filled with the rhythmic pounding of feet and the haunting melody of despair gradually returned to their normal state. The dancing, as if by some unseen signal, started to dissipate. The relentless energy that had consumed the people of Strasbourg for weeks began to wane, leaving behind a community physically depleted and mentally scarred. The toll it took on the community was immeasurable. Countless citizens were left with weakened bodies, the exertion of weeks-long dancing having drained them of their vitality. Some even paid the ultimate price, their bodies unable to bear the relentless strain. The survivors were left to grapple with the memory of their ordeal, the echoes of their own footsteps, a haunting reminder of the strange affliction. But the impact of the dancing plague of 1518 extended beyond the physical toll. The psyche of the community was deeply affected. Trust in the rational world was shattered, replaced by a pervasive fear of the inexplicable. A sense of collective trauma pervaded, casting a long shadow on the city of Strasbourg. Yet, despite the horror and confusion, the event was meticulously recorded and remembered. Chroniclers of the time diligently documented the strange phenomenon, their writings serving as a testament to the surreal episode. The dancing plague was etched into the annals of history, a bizarre chapter in the narrative of human civilization. In the years that followed, the event served as a stark reminder of the enigmatic forces that can grip humanity. It spurred inquiry and investigation, propelling scholars to delve into the mysteries of the mind and the body. The dancing plague of 1518 became a symbol of human fragility and the power of the mind, a chilling reminder of our susceptibility to forces beyond our comprehension. The dancing plague of 1518 remains one of history's most perplexing mysteries, a chilling reminder of the power of the mind and the fragility of